From the Samson Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
A horrifying end to Mother's Day. A Pottsville woman loses her 4 young children, her husband, his sister, in a raging fire. The cause of that tragedy in Pottsville, our top story on News 13 for this Monday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Baczynski. It's horrific as well as heartbreaking. 6 members of a family, including 4 young children, perished in a raging fire in Pottsville overnight. As Matthew Petrillo tells us, fire marshals are still investigating the cause of that fatal fire.
Just minutes before Mother's Day ended Sunday night, a fire ripped through this home on the 200 block of Pierce Street. 2 adults and 4 children lost their lives, and at least 5 firefighters were injured. Today, all that remains is the home's skeleton and torched debris scattered in front of it.
I could smell smoke in my house, and that fast we could see the lights from the fire truck coming up Pierce Street. So we came out, and the sky was so full of the thick smoke, the gray smoke.
It took fire crews more than an hour to put out the flames and control the situation.
Everybody was crying and hugging one another last night.
The fire originated in the kitchen on the 2nd floor and quickly climbed to the 3rd floor, where the 6 victims were sleeping. Among them include 30-year-old Eric Brown, his 4 children, whose ages ranged from 2 through 8, and Christina Thomas, the sister of the children's mother. When the fire first broke, the mother of the children was across the street doing laundry. Neighbors say when she smelled the smoke, she ran outside yelling for help. Fire crews responded to the scene in less than 4 minutes after getting the call, but her family was already trapped on the 3rd floor.
The back of the building was on fire, completely engulfed in flames, and a lot of smoke coming out the front, and within 5 minutes, the whole building was engulfed.
One neighbor, who didn't want to show her face or have her name revealed, works at a daycare center where 2 of the children would go to. She said the mother's son was caring and the daughter was into fashion.
I can always remember her coming in, and she had her cowboy boots on and always had a smile on her face.
The fire chief says this is the worst scene he's been at in his 32 years on this job. He says his crews have yet to find any smoke alarms in the building, and if they had, they might have been able to save some of the victims.
Some of them made it out of the bedroom toward the stairs, so they did wake up at some point.
The mother who lost her 4 children is Kelly Brown, who is currently staying at the house of her husband's relatives. Neighbors say she is devastated at the loss of her family, who she called her best friends. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
Well, with that tragedy in mind, fires can strike any place, anytime. That's why West Hazleton Fire Department thinks it's important to educate yourself to fire safety. Many fires can be prevented with the proper proactive steps. West Hazleton Fire Company firefighters say most house fires start in the kitchen. They suggest folks keep a watchful eye on lit candles and open flames. And the firefighters say if folks do find themselves in dangerous fire situations, don't panic, stay low to the ground, and get out of the house.
The heat is typically going to be rising to the top. You want to stay low to the ground. Keep your nose to the floor where the cool air is, okay? That's very important. Stay low. You want to try and make sure, if you can, that people outside, firefighters, whatever, know that you're there, that you're trapped. Take something, smash out the window, holler out the window, wave clothing, whatever the case might be, to try and get their attention.
And the fire department holds several fire preventative classes every year. They invite everybody with questions to come to the West Hazleton Fire Company and talk to them. Well, it started yesterday with chunks of a landmark tower crashing to the ground in Hazleton. Christina Papa spoke with city officials today to find out how they will deal with a crumbling Duplin building.
There are pieces of cement falling from the sky. That's why police had to tape off Fulton Court this weekend to keep folks safe.
The Duplin building was built in 1890, but it's 120 years old, and it is in a state of disrepair where it's now falling apart.
Hazleton Police Chief Frank DeAndrea came to Fulton Court Sunday with the fire department and code enforcement to find out how unsafe the Duplin building is.
It sounded like rain. The concrete pouring off of the building from the aluminum facade that is now blown off was hitting the awning in the streets and passing cars.
Although the outside of the building is slowly eroding away and part of the roadway is closed off, many businesses are still open today. Code Department's Richard Weck spoke with the owners of the building who are from out of town. He isn't sure how much renovation the building will need yet.
The point we're at now is he's going to contact his partner and sometime today get back to me that we're looking for a structural engineer to come in and evaluate it. Then we'll get the report from them and take it from there.
Police tape and barricades block the road. Now neighbors say it's an inconvenience because they have to park their cars blocks away. Jessica Latham lives a house away from the Duplin building. She wasn't sure what the loud bangs were outside of her house until she saw firefighters and police trucks outside on Sunday.
I woke up, I seen all the firemen here. They asked me to move my car, and then they said there was pieces falling from the building, which is kind of scary because my car is parked right there.
But Jessica isn't surprised the building needs repairs. She says the building has had pieces dangling off of it for a while.
But those pieces have been hanging for a long time, and me and my roommate said eventually they're gonna fall and probably cause some damage, so I'm glad that they didn't cause any damage and they caught it while it's still in the process of falling.
The road will remain closed until further notice. Weck says the building seems to be fixable, but he still needs to wait for the report. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
Well, the Hazleton shelter and police had to move in today after getting some calls about an alleged case of animal abuse. The shelter says 3 separate people who have reported that a dog has been abused several times and has been seen several times injured at this home on Diamond Avenue. The Hazleton police assisted the animal shelter this afternoon to remove the dog from the property and to evaluate the situation thoroughly.
First of all, get it out of the situation, make sure if there is any abuse, it cannot continue. Secondly, give investigators an opportunity to determine whether or not there is any abuse. And third, to see to the health of the animal, see if it's likely it has been abused and what treatment it requires.
You saw the dog right there, and it'll be taken to have x-rays as well as different tests done to see if it in fact was abused. Situation is currently under investigation. Dog in custody of the Hazleton Animal Shelter. Well, the regional culture has changed with the area's influx of new immigrants. One local support agency has offered a special service for some of them. As Stephanie Gorney tells us, the Dominican consulate actually set up shop in downtown Hazleton this weekend.
When legal immigrants from the Dominican Republic come to the United States, they may eventually decide to go back to their country. With all the paperwork renewal, that can be a hassle. However, Hazleton's Dominican House made things easier Sunday afternoon.
Dominicans, people working with the consulate of the Dominican Republic located in New York. They are coming to the Dominican House to help some Dominican people, members, that they want to renew the passport, or if, for example, they want to get back to Dominican Republic, they are given the facility to get back.
Since the consulate came to Hazleton, Dominican natives didn't have to travel to New York to get their required documents.
The process is that we take the old passport, renew the new ones. We take it to the consulate from New York and send it by mail or come here and give it to them back.
This event, however, did not just attract people from Hazleton, but people from all over the state as well.
Don't have a plate for the consulate from the Dominican Republic, but the consul of the Dominican Republic in New York give it to us, that facility. So it is important because right now we are receiving people from Allentown, people from Reading, from different cities around that come to Hazleton.
The Dominican House estimated that close to 100 people came out to get their paperwork renewed, and they are already planning to have the consulate come back for more help. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazleton.
And still ahead on News 13, yep, you probably saw some snow flurries today, and there's a frost warning for tonight. We'll tell you all about it in News 13 weather. And then an army of mail carriers and volunteers do their best to stamp out hunger. We'll tell you about the weekend food drive when News 13 continues. Well, from working to cooking to caring for you when you're sick, there's no question moms really do deserve an annual treat. On Sunday, families celebrated Mother's Day by treating their moms to an extravagant buffet at Genetti's right here in Hazleton. Moms enjoyed every type of delicacy and dessert you could imagine and were treated to some fun background music as well. Now, for families, the event has become a tradition to thank their mothers for all that they do.
They take you a lot of places. They're really loving. Whenever you're sick, they help you. They let you stay home from school. Just do a lot of things. They do a lot for you.
Cleans my room. She takes me to my sports practices. A lot of stuff like that.
Now, you may not realize it, but Mother's Day is the 3rd largest holiday of the year, right after Christmas and Easter. But for most kids, it's one of the most important. And time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar, what you see there are actually snow showers primarily. They're being reported all across the region. Tonight things are going to clear out, and then we're looking for a frost warning. It's May, if you haven't noticed. Creative condition, though, is about a sunny day with the trees all budding, as it should be at this point in May. It's by Soren Miller, a student at Valley Elementary. And now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton for tonight. Areas of frost after midnight. You got to cover up those flowers you may have planted last week or bring the planters inside. It'll be mostly clear with a low around 29 degrees. Then for Tuesday, mostly sunny and cool with a high only up to 56, nighttime low around 44. And heading to Schuylkill County for tonight, same thing there. Areas of frost, mostly clear, low down to 31 big degrees. And on Tuesday, increasing clouds, but a high getting to 60, nighttime low around 39 degrees. And it was an important weekend for some local food banks as mail carriers made their deliveries. They also picked up items to bolster the banks. Stephanie Gorney with more on the drive to stamp out hunger.
Local food banks all across the area are starting to see their shelves becoming bare now that winter and many of the holiday seasons have passed. One way to help restock these shelves is through the Stamp Out Hunger food drive, which takes place every year on the second Saturday in May.
It's time for our annual letter carriers food drive where we try to stamp out hunger in our communities. The United Way of Greater Hazleton, in conjunction with the National Association of Letter Carriers and the Hazleton Post Office, for the last 21 years have been doing this always the second Saturday in May.
Every year, people are asked to put out non-perishable food items under their mailboxes. Then letter carriers collect the food as they deliver the mail. Dozens of volunteers then separate the food and box it up to go to the local food banks.
Well, we are gathering food for the people who need food to feed themselves.
Okay, so what made you want to volunteer today?
Well, because it's a Scout's honor.
The United Way stresses that it is important to donate food whenever you can because the number of donations has been going down over the past couple of years.
Last year we collected 12.2 tons of food, and that was down a little bit from the year before when we did about 14 tons. It appears that our total is going to be down this year. So we will ask you if there's another food drive that happens to be whether in your church or with another organization, please in the future consider giving to that.
Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazleton.
And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you played the daily 626, Big 4 3201, Quinto 18332, and the treasure hunt 3 5 17 19 22. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. Power Hazleton will be holding a community revitalization conversation Wednesday, May 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Cinema Draft House in West Hazleton. For more info, please call 570-455-1509. And one more quick announcement, the Wyoming Valley chapter of the American Red Cross needs your help in identifying heroic acts and the people who make them happen. These heroes will be honored at the Heroes Breakfast program. For more info or to nominate an individual, please call 570-823-7161. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Clara A. Remack of Freeland, the McHugh-Wilczek Funeral Home will announce complete arrangements. Margaret R. Damiano, formerly of Hazleton, Mass is Saturday at 11 a.m. in the Church of All Saints in McAdoo. Friends may call at the church from 10 to 11 a.m. The Damiano Funeral Home is assisting the family with the arrangements. Richard M. Kemp of West Hazleton. Memorial services Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. in the Hazel Chapel of the Cropton Hughes Funeral Home. Friends may call Tuesday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. Stephen Levine of Whitehaven, the McHugh-Wilczek Funeral Home, is in charge of arrangements. Mary Chippy Kerpa, formerly of Hazel Village. Funeral is Wednesday at 9 a.m. from the Frank J. Bonin Funeral Home. Friends may call Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. And John A. Kostick of Drums. Funeral is Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. from the Boyle Funeral Home. Friends may call Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Tuesday from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Mia's. Once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Call 570-501-3410 for information on luncheon packages.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr. and Ron Marchetti.
Well, it's getting late in the scholastic year. You might not know it if you step outside and check the weather, but you got the prom this week, and everybody's starting to gear toward graduation. And in sports, well, you're coming down the home stretch. In fact, today is the last regular scheduled games in the Wyoming Valley Conference Division I. So getting ready to get into the playoffs for districts, right? Well, hold on. We don't know what's settled in the WVC. So let's start sorting it out for you. There's your schedule for today. You got the Berwick Bulldogs in town. They're taking on Hazelton area. That game just underway as we're speaking right now. Meanwhile, up in Pittston, you got Wyoming Valley West taking on the Patriots. Now, why are we telling you all that? Well, we'll make it real simple. Look at the standings here, and even if you're a little math deficient like I am, you can put it all together. With one game to go, there's a very good possibility of a three-way tie. You see, Berwick comes into action today with the one-game lead. Now, if Hazelton can knock off Berwick, that would put a tie between Berwick and Hazelton area. If Valley West, meanwhile, beats Pittston, you got a three-way tie. Now, Berwick can solve all this real easy. Berwick wins, they're the Division I champs. But if that doesn't happen and you got a three-way tie, well, you're looking at a playoff, and the playoff scenario would include a doubleheader tomorrow on a neutral field. The neutral field will be over in Freeland at that beautiful MMI complex. So a lot to be decided today. So key game for the Cougars tonight, no question about it. Now, in the Schuylkill League, you got Monoy area at Shamokin, and that'll wrap up the game for those guys. Now, yesterday, speaking of Schuylkill League, North Schuylkill, for the first time in nearly a quarter of a century, clinched the Division I championship. How about that? They did it in grand fashion, a 5-0 shutout over Pine Grove, and what that means is tonight, you've got North Schuylkill and Minersville at 4 o'clock, and under the lights, Williams Valley and Tamaqua. This is the semifinals for the Schuylkill League Championships. Gotta love the Schuylkill League. You play in those divisions, and at the end of the year, they make it real interesting with cross playoff games. Meanwhile, in softball, you got Hazelton area wrapping things up tonight in Nanticoke, and you got Holy Redeemer in town to take on MMI. Minor league baseball, Russ Kanzler, well, he's getting that one hit, but nothing more than that. Yesterday, one hit, run, double, run batted in. His Norfolk team bombed Syracuse 14-1, the average up to .285. Meanwhile, Kyle Landis is on the disabled list, finds himself there for at least the next week. His Akron team won last night at Reading 7-6. The Rail Riders, they got upended 7-6 in Lehigh Valley. They edged out Durham 6-4. There's your minor league schedules as we look at it tonight. And speaking of Kanzler and that .285 average, start of the week, .285 average. You see he has 5 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Pretty decent numbers for the former Hazelton area Cougar. Meanwhile, Kyle Landis was sailing along, but he got roughed up in his last 2 outings, and that's inflated the ERA a little bit, but that's kind of goes together with the disabled list stint. So, hey, we'll hope he gets healthy and back on the beam. News 13 Sports is sponsored by Sand Springs, featuring a world-class golf course as well as celebrations, the area's most luxurious banquet and wedding facility. It's been something everybody's been waiting for. The area's newest state-of-the-art facility is now open. We're talking about celebrations down at Sand Springs. It's going to seat up to 300, and whether it's private bridal suites that you're interested in or exquisite on-site ceremony location, this is the place you want to check out. Breathtaking floor-to-ceiling stone fireplaces, elegant cathedral ceilings, and they have the large windows overlooking the picturesque first hole of the fairway. White glove service from a friendly and courteous staff. It's celebrations at Clubhouse Drive, Drums, Pennsylvania, located within the Sand Springs complex.
It's a cold Monday, May 13th, the day after Mother's Day. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Trivia Treats. 19 years ago on this very day, in 1994, Chicago Bulls forward Scottie Pippen refused to participate in the final play of Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinal playoff series against the Knicks at Chicago Stadium. The Knicks had overcome a 22-point deficit to tie the game at 102-102 with 1.8 seconds remaining. Coach Phil Jackson designed a play in which Pippen would throw the inbounds pass to center Tony Kukoc. But Pippen, who had been Kukoc's rival for years, told his coach, "Mother of God, no way, not me," while quickly taking his seat on the bench. So then forward Pete Myers checked into the game to inbound the ball to Kukoc, and Kukoc sank the basket for a 104-102 victory, the first in the series for the Bulls. The Knicks, however, would go on to win the series in 7 games. And did Pippen get penalized? I don't think so. Also on this day in 1974, 39 years ago, Ivory Crockett, not related to Davy, and still unknown, a slightly built 24-year-old Southern Illinois University graduate, shattered the 100-yard dash world record that was set by Bob Hayes 11 years previously in 1963, flashing to victory in 9 seconds flat during competition in the Tom Black Classic track meet at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. The 5'7", 150-pound Crockett shaved a tenth of a second off Hayes' 9.2 mark. 5 others have tied that record. The event was sanctioned by the NCAA. Crockett, who worked as a computer firm marketing representative in Peoria, Illinois, ran for the AAU Philadelphia Pioneers Club. That was an unbelievable feat, and so was this that happened 1 week before in 1974. Boston Roger Clemens staged an awesome pitching performance when he struck out a record 20 Seattle Mariners in a 3-1 Red Sox victory at Fenway Park. Clemens lived up to his nickname, the Rocket, with a fastball clocked at 98 miles per hour. He threw 138 pitches and did not walk a batter. He struck out each hitter in the Seattle starting lineup at least once. In the middle of the game, the Rocket fanned 8 in a row, matching the American League record. That's enough for tonight. Till Friday, be a good sport. Stay loose.
And plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. Shock and grief hitting the Schuylkill County community tonight in the wake of last night's fatal fire. That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.